Authors note on page 3 that, quote, "We observed from our analysis the discussion was heavily biased toward the negative effects of content moderation with little discussion of cases where it could be beneficial," end quote. That's a really interesting finding for this particular study. For myself, on assignments like these, whenever there was like many different perspectives or angles that we could look at it, I would treat it as like a gem with many facets, and you could look at it from different angles and go, well, what would the perspective be from this perspective? What would it be from this other perspective and another perspective? And I try and like pose some questions that would get students to think of these different perspectives. Even if I like wholeheartedly disagreed with the question that I was asking, it was beneficial to kind of go through those questions and think of how you might respond to somebody who has an alternative understanding of an idea, or whether or not something is or is not considered ethical, etc. So I'd recommend, if you are going to engage in like these kind of assignments, make sure that there's not like a right and wrong way to think of this, but think of like the gray area in between with some of these. Like, well, while we might consider this to be unethical in terms of how it's impacting users, it's also benefiting the shareholders of this organization. So let's talk about how there is some give and take, and that we need to acknowledge both of them and understand both of them. Because if people are going to go into CS, like if they're going to create an app or something or a game, they're going to have pressures from both sides of things, and they need to make like different stakeholders happy with this, not just the users and not just the board of directors or the shareholders, etc. In other words, there's just many more nuances to consider when it comes to ethics in relation to technology and computer science, etc.